All right, let's talk about something that impacts literally every single purchase you make. It's called Section 18 of the Australian Consumer Law. And honestly, it's one of the most powerful tools you have in your back pocket as a consumer. Today, we're going to break down exactly how it works for you. You know the feeling. Every single day, we're just swimming in a sea of ads, right? You've got special offers and all these bold claims popping up everywhere, from your social media feed to the signs you see in shop windows. Businesses are all fighting for our attention and our money, making these huge promises about what their stuff can do. So, let me just ask you this straight up. Have you ever seen an ad that looked absolutely perfect, bought the thing, and then it just wasn't what they promised? Ugh, that feeling of disappointment, right? That little nagging sense that you've been a bit tripped? Yeah, I think we've all been there. Look, if you're sitting there nodding your head, you are definitely not alone. But here's the really great news. That feeling isn't where the story ends, not by a long shot, because right here in Australia, you have powerful legal rights designed to protect you from exactly that kind of thing. And that's where the hero of our story comes in, Section 18. Seriously, think of this law as your own personal shield when you're out there in the marketplace. It's this super powerful piece of the law that's all about making sure businesses play fair. Okay, so what is it exactly? Well, Section 18 is a huge deal. It's basically a cornerstone of our consumer law. And its job is pretty simple. It's there to stop businesses from doing anything that's misleading, deceptive, or, and this is the kicker, even just likely to mislead or deceive. That's what makes it so incredibly broad and so powerful. If you want to boil it all down, just think of it like this. It's the #1 rule for fairness in the marketplace. It's the law that says, hey, businesses, you have to be straight up and honest when you're dealing with people. Simple as that. So how does a court, or anyone for that matter, actually figure out if a business has broken this rule? Well, the law isn't fuzzy on this. It uses a really straightforward 3-part test. And if you can get your head around these 3 things, you'll understand the whole law. So here's the test broken down into 3 simple steps. First, we have to look at the party accused, who actually did the thing. Second, we have to make sure it happened in trade or commerce, so in a business setting. And third, we get to the core of it. Was the conduct itself misleading or deceptive? Let's dive into each one and see how this shield really works. All right, first up, the conduct has to be tied to a specific person or company. I know it sounds super obvious, but it's the essential first step. You can't just vaguely complain. The law has to be aimed at a particular business or individual. We need to be able to point to a specific action they took or something specific they said. Now for part 2, and this one is absolutely crucial. The conduct has to have happened in trade or commerce. What does that mean? It just means it needs to be part of a business or professional activity. This isn't for private one-off stuff. And this is really where the line gets drawn in the sand. A company advertising a new service. Yep, that's clearly in trade or commerce. But you selling your own personal car to your neighbor, that's just a private sale. Section 18 doesn't get involved there. This whole element is designed to keep the law focused squarely on business behavior. And that brings us to the third and honestly the most important piece of the puzzle. This is the real heart of Section 18. The conduct itself had to be misleading or deceptive. This is where we really start to look at what the business did and what kind of effect it could have. And check this out, because this is where the law's true power really shines. This is a key phrase pulled straight from the legislation, or is likely to mislead or deceive. This is huge. It means a business doesn't have to actually fool anybody. All that matters is that what they did had the potential to lead a regular person into making a mistake. That is a really low bar to clear, which makes the protection for us consumers incredibly strong. So let's just wrap that all up nice and neat. To figure out if Section 18 is in play, you just have to ask 3 questions. 1, whose conduct are we talking about? 2, was it a business thing? And 3, could it have led someone down the wrong path? If you're nodding yes to all 3 of those, then you are very likely looking at a breach of the law. Okay, so we've gone through all the legal nuts and bolts, but let's zoom back out for a second. Why does any of this really matter? Why is this so incredibly important for you to understand? What does this actually mean for your day-to-day life? It matters because this law is basically your guarantee of a fair go. It's what levels the playing field between you and, some massive corporation. It's what forces businesses to actually back up what they say and holds them accountable. And most importantly, it gives you the power to stand up and challenge conduct that just isn't right. It's this huge, broad protection against all kinds of dodgy behavior. So, when you get right down to it, Section 18 is way more than just some dusty rule in a law book. It's really a promise.
It's your assurance that the marketplace you're a part of every single day is actually designed, by law, to be a fairer, more honest place for everyone.
So there you have it, Section 18, hopefully a little less mysterious now. And we'll just leave you with this one final thought. Now that you know the rules of the game, now that you understand this legal shield you have, how are you going to look at all those ads and promises you see tomorrow? What are you going to see differently?